right. We're live, boys, ladies and gents. Welcome back. Pay for Play, Season 2, Episode 1. My boy Sam, it's me, Roddy. Go ahead and follow us at Pay for Play on Twitter. Subscribe to our YouTube. It is in the link to this tweet. We are back. It's been a long 8 months, man. It has been a long ass 8 months. We've been, like usual, slandering teams. We've been saying that these recruits are trash, your transfers are trash, your stadium's trash, your coach is trash, your students are trash, your education is trash. We've been talking a whole bunch of shit this whole off season, and we finally got the opportunity to come back and be with y'all. So thank y'all for tuning in. We really appreciate it. Please follow us on YouTube. Like I said, you'll be able to put your comments up on YouTube so we can actually post them in our feed right here on the live. But I want to introduce my guy Sam. He's back for season 2. My brother, how you doing, man?
Well, I landed from my honeymoon about 12 a.m. last night here in Indy. I think I've consumed every single over-the-counter head cold medicine that you can take in the last 8-9 hours. But I'm jacked up. There's no way I was missing this. It's like Christmas Day. I'm excited. The slate sucks, but there's going to be football on the screens today, so I'm ready to go.
Yeah, I agree. And I'm ready too as well. I mean, honestly, this week is our prep week. Obviously, we're in week 1 of the season. It's not very lively, I would say. There are good games out there, definitely, but it's just not the week where teams schedule difficult games. It's just not. So we'll be here for a shorter time than usual today, but we will have longer shows going forward. We will have a couple of new guests. We will have some familiar faces, okay? But the main two, Batman and Robin, this year is me and Sam. So we will be guiding you through this college football experience this year. So we're super excited for you guys to join, like I said. So we'll get into our first game here. And it's going to be the Buffaloes, who have had a lot of hype this offseason, probably the most hype they've had Sam, since like the 90s, bro. Like I don't even know when Colorado football has been this popping. But they're going to TCU, obviously the national runner-up of last year. They're down 21 points. Obviously TCU's at the crib, so I expect nothing less. But in your opinion, Sam, where are you going with this game? How are you feeling? How are you feeling about Dion and his opportunity at Colorado to be successful? Because obviously they won 2 games last year. So what are you expecting this year from him?
Yeah, I mean, he's had, like you said, they've had the most hype coming out of any offseason in the last 2 decades. Going into this year, they have a lot. They probably improved talent wise, but they just took so many transfers that it'll be very interesting to see like how they gel and how the team looks with so many new faces. And um, I think the talent, like I said, has improved. Um, but I don't see them winning more than like if they reach a bowl game, that's a great season for them. Just because that's a
Mhm.
4-win improvement in a first year as a head coach with so much turnover. Um, I don't know like why people are picking them to win the national championship. I don't think
Wait,
it's that.
who?
I mean like people are just like throwing the flyers because it's such a like high ticket price. So um, I think during the off season there was a time where that was like the most held ticket in Vegas for like college football futures, like the biggest stake against Vegas. So um, I don't think they're going to do that. But the Pac-12 is really tough this year. There's a lot of
Yeah.
really good quarterbacks. I think their quarterback play is definitely going to improve. Um, they got 2 really great corners where they can probably play on an island and kind of focus that defensive front seven to kind of help more in the trenches. Just because I think that'll be where their the biggest deficit is. I just don't know if they're there. They got great skill players coming in,
Mhm.
but The most interesting thing is if they'll be able to hand or like hang with some of the upper echelon teams like they're playing today, TCU, um, and then further along in their schedule in the Pac-12. It'll be interesting to see how that plays out.
Yeah, for sure. I'm interested to see Shador. Obviously, his stock kind of, I guess, rides on the season. Whether he's going to be an NFL capable quarterback or not. I think he's really good, but I think again you have to show it against the competition that is of the likes of TCU and these other Pac-12 or SEC or whatever team you're playing schools. No slight to the HBCUs. I love them. You know, I love Jackson State as well, but it's going to be a little bit more difficult for me to be convinced that you're NFL ready playing against those guys rather than playing against the Pac-12 or these other conferences. Um, like we were talking about a little bit earlier before the show, TCU did lose a lot of production. Okay, Kendre is on the Saints. Max Duggan, he tried to get to the NFL, but it didn't really work. Shout out to Max though. Johnson is obviously on the Chargers as well. So there's a lot of guys that they did lose this year, TCU, but I think when you're looking at just the situations of both teams, you got a new guy coming in Colorado. Of course, like we just said, you need a lot of roster overhaul. So it's gonna take probably a year or two to get there and get right. Whether you wanna admit that as a Colorado fan or a supporter or not. But with TCU, they have a more established situation. I think it's going to be a little bit more competent in the operation just of, okay, I've been recruiting these kids probably for 2-3 years. So I already know pretty much what I'm getting. But in terms of this matchup, bro, I see Colorado not covering at all. TCU, again, like we said, it is returning production, but I genuinely feel like they're a clearly better team than Colorado, and it's going to take a while for Colorado to get started up. I'm not going to say that they're going to be a total disappointment. They are going to give teams a little scare later on in the season, but if we're talking just week one, Eh, not really the most confident in that. So, do you have any picks specifically for this game?
Yeah, first head-to-head of the season then. I'm on
Let's go.
Colorado plus 21.
Okay.
I like that it jumped up to that full number, that round number instead of the 20 and a half. Like you said, TCU only returns 33% of their production. It's the lowest in all of FBS, and I think they're like 105th or like 105 to 110 range in overall returning production. So I just
Mhm,
think they lost so much. I think it's going to be a struggle for them to kind of work in this new passing attack without their two leading receivers, leading running back, leading passer. Like it's going to be a challenge to do that with these corners that Colorado has, and um, I just think they're able to keep it close. I'm not calling for an upset or anything, but I think they'll be able to give TCU a little bit of a scare, and they'll be close in the second half.
mhm. Yeah, for sure, for sure. We'll see what the result of this is. Definitely one of the more interesting games, just storyline wise, because we're all looking at Dion. We're all looking to see, is he the real deal? Is he the goods? I mean, if he can pull it off at Colorado, I have confidence that he can pull it off pretty much anywhere in the country. So we'll watch that one. It's kickoff at noon. So Sam gave you plus 21. We'll go over all of our bets at the end of the show as well. But I do want to go to North Carolina first, South Carolina. And I mean, look, man, we talked about this in our preview that we did on my podcast, the Players Ball podcast. Um, I believe in Spencer Rattler. I know I have a little bit of reservation, like when I said that just now, because look, we saw him at OU. We saw him in the beginning of the season last year at South Carolina. I totally understand why people would think that he's trash, he's not good, or he has no optimism, at least for the season. However, I really do like their team, man. I really do. Is he going to be the best quarterback on the field tonight? Probably not. I like Drake May better. I think obviously he's the clear second prospect in this class, but I really like the South Carolina football team. I think they're returning a lot of production on offense. They do have great weapons. And defensively, I think they're a little bit sneaky underrated. So, Sam, in this matchup, how are you feeling and what are you looking at in terms of North Carolina and South Carolina tonight?
I love the over. I
Hmm.
said last week that I'm going to stay off overs, and that didn't happen at all.
Yeah.
So I just can't do it. I want points. I want there to be a lot of them. I don't think I still think we're able to get a good amount of points even with the new clock change rules.
Hmm.
And I'm kind of with you. I think South Carolina pulls it off. They have a very tough schedule, but I think they can hit that win total over at some point this year. And I think this is going to be the game that really determines whether or not they're able to. I don't trust either defense really, especially North Carolina. We saw that last year,
Yeah.
and they don't return a ton of production from on the defensive side of the ball. Neither does South Carolina. I mean, they lost some guys in the transfer portal that probably would have been huge additions for them, like Jordan Birch. But I think we can get an over with two experienced quarterbacks who have some good weapons. I know Josh Downs is gone, but I think Drake May will still be able to move the ball.
Mhm.
It'll be a close back and forth, but I have the over 63.5, and then I've got South Carolina money line 110.
Oh yeah, look, I've got the same thing. That is an official joint pick. Take it to the bank special from Pay for Play. South Carolina money line plus 115 on Bovada. I'm not in the legal gambling state, unfortunately. But again, like I think again, I'm not saying that North Carolina is a bad team, but I mean, the consensus over the last 2 years for them is take the over. They have no defense and they are going to score a lot of points. And you might have to break your rules, Sam. You might have to take this over on this as well. But I got South Carolina money line as well, plus 115, like I said. Um, the spread, I might even fool around with the plus 2.5. Obviously, we're taking the money line, so we might as well take that as well. But again, I think North Carolina is favored because Drake May is going to be that guy that is the second best quarterback in this draft. So I think it's a little bit of gas there, but I could be wrong. They could come out on fire. We'll see what happens. But yeah, give me South Carolina on the money line. I'm not really feeling nothing else. We'll go and stay in the Carolinas and we will go to Clemson and Duke. Now, Clemson released the man who was DJ Ugly Liar. He's in Corvallis now. That was his punishment. I really think that Clemson is in a position this year to kind of rewrite what was going on for the last 2 years with DJ. I think they do have a lot of good production returning. The defense, I think, is going to be really, really good this year. But Duke is one of those sneaky good teams. I think a lot of people are going to expect it's Duke football. They're a basketball school. They're not going to be that good. But in your opinion, like, how are you feeling about this Clemson and Duke game and Duke specifically coming into this upcoming season?
Um, I think it can be close. I think it has that potential. I'm very interested to see more so on the Clemson side. I know Duke has their quarterback back. His name escapes me right now. But he was looking pretty good at the end of last season. You get a lot of continuity back on the offensive side of the ball. So I think with Clemson losing like their entire defensive line, I know they got the linebackers back and everything, and
Mhm.
they recruit really well. So it'll be more of like a
Yeah.
reload, not
Hmm.
not a rebuild type of situation. So I think it could be close, but I guess I have to trust that Garrett Riley is going to be the right hire, and that Cade Klubnik's going to eventually or is going to look better than he did last season in that offense. I just I think it's a very sneaky game. Like you kind of get lulled to sleep. You're in a standalone spot on Monday night. Like Duke, you're on the road in a conference game, and that could sneak up on them.
Yeah.
I could see it being close, but I lean towards Clemson covering and getting over that 2 touchdown spread. I don't have any official plays yet. There might be one by Monday night, but I kind of want to maybe just want to see how Clemson's going to look in this new offense, and after losing a good amount of production along the defensive front. So um, I think it'll be an interesting game, but I really can't. I lean more towards Clemson kind of pulling away late.
Yeah, me too. The 13 is kind of a weird number for me. Um, I do think that this Clemson team is 2 touchdowns better than Duke. Riley Leonard is our quarterback, by the way, for Duke. He's coming back. Um, I mean, it really just depends on what are you going to get from the quarterback spot for Clemson. I think that was the biggest, glaring issue on their football team last year is they're not getting any consistency from the quarterback position. He holds the ball too long. Um, and it really did affect them last year, being able to, win games. And you saw it in the South Carolina game last year. It's just they need a good quarterback. So hopefully Cade can come in, be confident, and win the game against Duke. I wouldn't give anything official personally on this, even when it gets to Monday, just because, again, week one, y'all, is for you to observe more than, to gamble, in my opinion. You want to restore that feeling, watch again, you know what I'm saying? Try to feel out who's good, who's bad, who's returning, who's trash. And I mean, look, they're college kids, all right? They're 18 through 21-year-olds. The variance on how they show up every Saturday is going to be quite large. So I would take it easy this week if you're, looking for new advice, new gamblers. Definitely take it a little bit easy. Watch this week. Enjoy the product because it's going to be a lot of good games.
I
So
wish I could take that advice.
yeah, man, yeah. We're too deep into the game. We're way too deep into the game. But we will go to our big one, our monumental matchup. Um, I know last year, Sam, that you probably were texting Brian Kelly and saying, "Hey, can you guys practice field goal, preparation and setup one more time?" Especially with how the season started and ended. In the first game of the season, obviously the missed field goal cost you the game against FSU. The mishap in the SEC championship with the block field goals happened in the end of the year.
Completely
So
swung the momentum of that game.
exactly. And I don't think people understand how important special teams is. Like that is a momentum swinger, like you just said. So in your opinion, what are you feeling with this matchup? I obviously know who you think is going to win, but where are your fears lying, when it comes to this matchup with FSU?
Well, Mason Smith, our probably first round top half of the draft defensive tackle, is suspended, so that
Mhm.
doesn't help. But I guess my biggest fear is can you get anything going in the running game outside of Jaden? Like, I
Yeah.
think Jaden rushed for 100 yards in this game last year. And outside of that, I think the running backs gave you 40 yards on the ground, if that. Um, so I think that's going to be a huge part of it. I think there will be some more design runs called for Jaden, and
Mhm.
he'll be able to scramble a little bit. But in terms of like the secondary is an issue. You're just working in so many transfers at the corner position, and FSU has really talented receivers, Keon Coleman and Johnny Wilson. You got them back, and those are two very big receivers who can win a lot of jump balls.
Yes.
And you got the safety. The safeties are back, and I think the front seven will be good enough to kind of get penetration with 4 or 5, and you can kind of drop the rest back in coverage. So, um, but like last year, Harold Perkins didn't play in this game. He was
Mhm.
on kickoff team. Like I think like that
Which
was
is
that was
crazy.
it. That was the only snaps he played was on kickoff team and like special teams. So I think that's a huge game changer. You have a huge upgrade at linebacker position and can kind of negate Jordan Travis's ability to move at the pocket and kind of make plays on the run outside of the pocket. So I think that's going to be the biggest like shift in this game. You're not working in a true freshman offensive tackle against Jared Verse.
Mhm.
You have a guy that in Will Campbell that is going to be one of the best offensive tackles in the draft next year, and I think the offensive line just gives me so much more confidence. Where last year it was a huge weakness going into the game, and I think Florida State has good front four, but the linebackers and the safeties, and um, I think
Yeah.
that's where LSU is going to be able to make some plays because you got some upgrade in the slot. They said they're going to try to get Malik Neighbors 85 to 90 touches at least this year, and I think they go to him early and often. And Brian Kelly said they're going to move him all over the field to prevent double teams, and you have you have a much better punt returning situation with Aaron Anderson returning punts and kicks. I mean, the guy had 20 special team touchdowns in college alone. Like
Mhm.
that's just a huge upgrade overall. Brian Kelly said he's the most comfortable looking return man that he's ever had. So um, I don't think special teams will be as big of an issue. Hopefully, it's more of a benefit and not a complete like game ruiner like it was last year. But
Yeah.
yeah, you know where I'm leaning on who's winning the game. So I have LSU -2 locked in. I'm going to channel my inner JD right now and give you some player props.
There we go. Come
Um,
on.
Malik Neighbors over 68.5 receiving yards. I think if they want to win this game, they have to get him. You got to get him to around 100 yards and over 68.5 -115. And then Mason Taylor, you saw how big he was down the stretch last year. He was a huge benefit in the Alabama game. Caught the touchdown that put you ahead late, and then the 2 point conversion play. He had some good runs in space after short catches last year. I think his receiving or his TD prop is over or over 0.5 at +250. So I think he gets in the end zone, and you can get a little plus money play right there.
There we go. There we go. I love it. And with FSU and LSU, my key distinction is that Jaden last year, look, man, when you're a transfer, I don't care how much time you have in training camp or how much time you have, between that January to September role that, you have to get ingratiated into the offense. I don't think it's enough time. And to play a team with the level of talent that FSU does, and even to play an SEC schedule, in my opinion, it was going to be difficult for Jaden, regardless of last year.
It was his fourth
S
offensive coordinator in 4 years. Like he's
Yeah,
had no continuity, and this is the first year where he has that kind of continuity.
yeah, exactly. And also, I mean, look, man, you see the state of Arizona State football. I don't know if anybody watched their game on Thursday, but just goes to show what's going on over there. So, when you get something good in your life and you never had nothing good in your life, kind of takes you a minute to adjust to it. Okay. You gotta have a second to say, okay, well, I'm at a premier D1 SEC school. I have the weapons, I have the coaching, I have the facilities. It's up to me to learn the playbook and to perform, simple and plain. So I think that Jaden, his only issue last year was aggressiveness. And that might come with, being a little bit uncomfortable with the playbook. So I think we see him be a little bit more aggressive this year. I think we see him push the ball downfield a little bit more this year because, you saw when Nuss came in the game in the SEC championship, the field was extended in the biggest way. And I think now that Jaden is a little bit comfortable in the system, I think he's going to let it fly a little bit more. Obviously, the danger he has with his legs is going to be an issue as well. But I know FSU is no slouch as well. Jordan Travis is obviously a good quarterback, going to probably be one of the top 4 or 5 prospects coming out. But I know we have SEC bias or whatever that is, even though we are the best. Um, I just think if you see a team that lost on a field goal last year and you had as many things working against them as you did, then I see no reason to go the other way. I mean, of course, FSU is going to have more experience as well. But I really think this LSU team is talented. Defensively, I think is what's going to be the biggest differentiating factor. The DBs for y'all, I'm a little worried about with these bigger receivers. Obviously, that's going to be a concern for me a little bit. But in general, I think that LSU's defense, what they can do on offense, Jaden's versatility, I think they win this game. Would I take the 2? I'll be a little scared. Okay, be a little bit scared, but I do think that this team is a field goal better than FSU personally. But that's not to say FSU is any scrubs for any sense of the word. Like it's gonna be a good matchup regardless. So we'll see what happens in this one. Sunday night, 7:30 p.m. Sam will be on his couch, either very happy or very sad. Hopefully happy, but we'll see what happens. But now we've got through our marquee matchups this week. Like we said, it's going to be a little shorter today. So we want to get into our week 1 picks from all of the slate. Sam, I'll let you start. Go ahead and give the people what you're feeling today.
All right. Well, we already gave some of them out. I'll touch on some of the other one or just recap. Colorado plus 21 was an official play. I do like Tennessee team total over 21.5 in that first quarter against Virginia. Um, even with the new clock management or the new clock rules, Heupel's going to go so fast that I'm not really scared of Tennessee overs, and
Yeah.
I think they tried to really get Milton comfortable in this offense and let him play a little bit. The number's a little high for the full game, but I still think they get to like 24 points in the first half, 24 to 28 range. And they really don't have a look ahead spot. Like they play Austin P next week, so it's not a huge game coming up. I think they'll push the ball downfield a little bit and try to get Milton as comfortable as possible in this offense to get their season ramped up.
Hmm.
I got USC Nevada over 66.
Okay.
Never going to be scared with USC overs. Like the
Yeah.
defense did not look good last week. They were getting gashed. USC pulled away late, but over 66, I think it's still too low. They gave up. I'm a little worried about Nevada being able to score, but even with USC's defense, I think they'll get to the 14 to 17 range, and I think that's all we'll need. Nevada doesn't return a bunch on defense. USC is going to score at will. So I like that over 66 number. I got Penn State minus 20.5. It's a night game in Happy Valley. Aller might be their best quarterback they've had in my lifetime. In terms of talent, we'll see how he looks getting acclimated in this offense, but it's not going to be too much of a challenge whenever you got one of the best running back duos in the country behind him, a great offensive line in front of them, and probably better weapons than they've had in most recent years. I think Penn State's really due for a good year. They'll be able to challenge Michigan for that Big Ten title. I'm still a little interested in Ohio State to see how um, the quarterback situation works out, working in 2 new offensive tackles. So I think I have Penn State probably ranked second in the West or in the East in the Big Ten, and they can probably challenge Michigan. So I think
Yeah.
I think West Virginia's working in some new. They had a quarterback battle going on all camp. Um, the number, it's still, I got it before it got to that 21 number. I think Neil Brown's probably going to be gone after this year. It's
Yeah.
just too difficult to have a schedule to try and maneuver your way to improving, especially whenever you're starting where they are in Happy Valley at night. So we've got those, and then we'll do the other one. South Carolina money line 110, USC or South Carolina UNC over 63.5, the LSU -2. Malik Neighbors over 68.5 receiving yards, and then finally Mason Taylor to score a touchdown plus 250.
Okay. There we go. There we go. That's
9
Sam's
play
official
card.
9 plays. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? I told Sam take it easy. You know what I'm saying? It was his first day back. He said, "No, I can't do it." Like it's been 8 months, like I said. So I don't blame him. He's got the buck, man. I got the buck too. Um, I'm only taking one big number today. Only taking one big number. And I'm taking the 33 with Old Mississippi and Mr. Lane Kiffin. They're playing Mercer at the crib. Um, I just think obviously we know what Lane does offensively. We don't have to even comment on, how good he is as an offensive coordinator. They're returning a lot of production from last year as well. They've kind of been some people's dark horse to sneak around, maybe, I'm obviously need not win the SEC West, but sneak around, maybe ruin a couple of people's seasons, get a surprise win, maybe Alabama, whatever. So I think that takes, the first step in the right direction this weekend. I think they do cover that 33 against Mercer. I also do have South Carolina money line as well. I just, again, like I think they're going to be a good team this year. I'm totally with you as well on the Tennessee team total. I mean, it would be essential for them to get this pacing, like you said, get comfortable with it and get into their offense. I mean, look, Joe Milton this year, I'll have to see it to believe it. Everybody thinks he's the best thing since sliced bread. I don't know. I'll have to see it first. But I would agree with you on their team total. They're not even giving me a line for my Bulldogs, man. I mean, yeah, it's UT Martin, it's banner night. It's probably going to be in the 40s, so I wouldn't take that. If you got a line for Georgia, I would take team total if you really want to bet it. But again, like I just again, I'm going like this week. So those are my only plays. I got Ole Miss. I'm riding with you on the Tennessee team total, and then I'm doing South Carolina money line. I'm scared right now of the LSU game. Be sure to follow Pay for Play our Twitter. Maybe I'll grow a pair by tomorrow, but I'm a little bit scared to gamble on it. I just want to see what each team looks like. Like I said, these are 18 to 21-year-olds. There's a lot of variance there. We have to see who's good and who's not. So those are my three plays for the day. Anything else, Sam, before we get out of here?
I got one lean. I was looking at this one earlier.
Mhm.
Fresno State goes up to Purdue and they kick off at 12. That's a 9 a.m. local kickoff for Fresno State. Um, I'm a big believer in body clock games. Um,
Yeah,
Purdue's going to be working in their new coaching staff. That's going to be more focused on the defensive side of the ball. I'll be interested to see what the offense does. And Fresno State lost Hayner. I don't know if he made the Saints roster or not, but
he did.
um,
Backup quarterback. There we go.
yeah,
QB2, baby.
QB2. So they got Hayner's out at Fresno State. I don't know what the offense is going to look like. That total is at 47. I think it might go under.
Ooh, okay. Okay, not bad. Look, I
And
was thinking the same thing. I'm trying to pull up this Iowa line because they have Iowa favored by 21 points. Like, how is Iowa going to score 20 points? How is that going to work?
it doesn't look promising.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. This shit looks fake because it's like Iowa minus 20 against anyone. Like, no, no, that's not happening. But like we said, going light, even though Sam has 9 places, but it's all right, man. We're back. It's been a long 8 months. Pay for play. Please, please, please subscribe, like on YouTube, retweet this tweet if you guys are watching on Twitter. We appreciate y'all so much for joining up. Like we said, this is our test week. New show, new formatting, everything. We're gonna come at you live next week with a couple of guests, couple of more features, and as the season goes on, the games get better. So we'll definitely have a couple of better matchups for you next weekend. But that's it from us today. Sam, you want to leave the people with anything? Anything else before we go?
No, I need to go take a nap before kickoff starts. So
Yeah, me as well. I just got home 3 hours ago. So y'all, please be sure, like I said, subscribe and like on YouTube. Retweet this tweet. Follow us. Sam's at is right there. My at is right here as well. You can find me everywhere. So please follow us on Twitter. and we'll be back at y'all next Saturday, bright and early, 10 a.m. We'll be on time this time. Sorry. And yeah, we'll holla at y'all next week, man. Peace.
Deuces.